Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're ready whenever you're ready.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you everybody for coming in this morning. My name is Tanya Watkins, and I'm the Director of Development for Nicholas House. I have been with Nicholas House for just about a year and a half, which means you guys know probably a lot more about Nicholas House than I do. But please do keep me on my toes today if I say something that you know that isn't true. Get me in line. So, just to start, what I'd like to do is make sure my clicker's working. And just go over our mission, which is the same relatively. We still serve families who are experiencing homelessness, but I believe it was revised during a strategic planning process. So, of course, we still aid families who are experiencing homelessness to achieve self-sufficiency. So, basically, they can address everything that's caused them to become homeless so that they won't experience it anymore. Our vision, of course, is a community, a community that does not experience homelessness, and where it's rare, it's brief, and it's non-recurring. So, pardon me. Might be easier for me just to go over and touch the button. What triggers homelessness? So I won't dive really deep into this, but I will say that Nicholas House serves families who experience every single one of these things. When I came to the Nicholas House, the first person that I met was a dad who was living at the organization with his daughter, but he had actually been incarcerated, and that is why he was experiencing homelessness. His license was suspended because he could not pay a traffic ticket that he had, and that led him basically to getting in trouble when he got pulled over on his way to work one morning. It happened a couple of times, and so he went to jail, and then he was homeless. And that's how I met him at the Nicholas House. Now, what we see most often, though, is that families nowadays have expenses that are just greater than their income, and that's because everything is more expensive now. It really does affect people in the long run when little things like, well, not little things, things like their groceries go up by 10 and 20% in a short amount of time, especially when their salary hasn't done the same thing. So yeah, all of those things are reasons that we see families, and regardless of any one of these things, every group that we serve is a part of a family, right? And so the parents have a responsibility to talk to their children about what's going on. They have to let them know what led their family to the situation. And I would like to share with you all some conversations that parents had with their children, similar to the ones that families who come to Nicholas House have.
What is the hardest thing about not having your own house? You know, when we did live in a shelter?
Everything.
What's everything?
Everything up in the shelter. I'm just saying everything.
The hardest thing about not having our own home is like how I dream to be successful and accomplish things.
Do kids at school know you were in a shelter?
No.
No.
And they always ask me and I always say no.
They asked you if you're in a shelter?
Yeah. But one day a little boy, he lived in a shelter and he was in kindergarten. And everyone in the whole class made fun of him. And I don't like people making fun of me.
How did it make you guys feel when I told you that we might not know where we're going to live?
Scared?
Yeah. What were you scared of?
Rain? Because rain can be cold. And snow.
Yeah. You know how it made me feel? I was scared. What I was scared of is not being able to keep you guys safe.
It makes it harder to do homework in the shelter. You don't usually, you can like hear noise, like the bathroom and the kitchen, so it doesn't really get quiet.
Were you scared when you lived in the shelter?
Yeah, I feel really uncomfortable.
What's the best part of having a home?
You have your own space, like you can just run around your own room and say, "Home, I'm in here. I love you."
You don't have to have no, what is it called? Curfew at 10. What does having a home mean to you?
Having a home to me is like I don't have a good day.
What will your dream bedroom look like?
Mini refrigerator, upstairs, big bed. No idea.
Upstairs in the bed?
Exactly.
What would your bedroom look like?
Mini refrigerator, a king bed.
A little bit small for a king bed.
No, not.
Why do you think every kid deserves a home?
I just want everybody to have their own life and be rich. The kids should grow up and graduate and stuff and have their own home. I just want everybody to pray that we'll have our own house. And I wish we had 4 big bedrooms so then me and my brother won't have to share because he snores a lot.
So, just like those kids, there's lots of children who come to Nicholas House and have been doing so for a long time. In our quest to make family homelessness unlikely, brief, and one time only since 1982, according to this letter by members of this very church. And November 15th of 1982, some of the folks parishioners who attended this church came together and wrote this letter to very specifically, who was the letter to? I don't know, it doesn't say. Well, however, they had been providing services for 2 years already, and I learned today that it was in a building that's still behind us right now. So they asked if they could open a full-time shelter. So apparently they had just been doing it out of the kindness of their hearts for 2 years because it was a need. And of course they had the blessing and Nicholas House was born. From that time on, we have continued to serve families, no matter what the composition, grandparents and grandkids, moms and dads, single moms, any composition of family, and we do not exclude children or males who are in that family who are over the age of 16, as some other shelters do. And so the main thing that we like to do, and we don't mind boasting, is that we keep families together. We do not want families to experience a second trauma on top of already not having a place to live. So, in addition to serving families, making sure they have a place to stay, we've also come to find that over the years, there are families who are on the brink of becoming homelessness, and all they need is a little bit of assistance with an electric bill or with their rent, and just having that extra push from Nicholas House, that extra support from Nicholas House, prevents them from even ever being evicted from their home in the first place. So we're moving our focus from just emergency assistance to also providing prevention services. New challenges. The big new challenge is that there are a lot of people who need some place to stay, and there isn't a lot of affordable housing anymore. So where Nicholas House currently is located on Boulevard, it's a wonderful neighborhood, and there's some great new apartments in that neighborhood, but they also cost $400,000. And so no one who's living at Nicholas House can leave our organization and move into one of those places that they can literally see from their bedroom window when they're with us. And so it's just, there's a lot of affordable housing that's being built, but it's still an issue with people who don't have a lot of money right now. So Another thing that's really affecting people and have been affecting people since the pandemic is that housing costs have just gone up. It affected everybody. They've gone up and their money has stayed the same. So that's why they don't have enough money to pay for things that they have been paying for years. New challenges. But our approach is similar, but I think it's changed a little bit here. So the first thing we do is make sure that people have somewhere to stay. Housing first model. If they need emergency assistance, of course they come to the shelter, but then we try to move them into their own apartment or into a home that they can rent as well. And after we do that, life stability is our focus. We serve families for up to 2 years after they have lived with us at a shelter, taking care of the things that they need the most: medical, mental, behavioral, making sure they have the right income to maintain their housing, and they work with their case managers through that entire process. And for that reason, I believe it's 92% of the families who graduate from our program do not experience homelessness again. So, yeah. So it takes quite a bit of support to make that happen. So 2 years. A new thing I believe that has changed since you all started Nicholas House is that we developed a philosophy of care. Mainly so that everybody knows how we would like to treat the people that we serve, and so they'll have a model really to follow. Respecting the people that we serve is essential. Providing hope to them so that they can be inspired to change. Integrity, acting with integrity so that they can trust us. And every person, believing that every person is valuable and treating them that way. We also believe that diversity builds strength, and so we try to model that throughout our organization, especially in every area that you can think of, really, from our board of directors down to folks who volunteer with us. We make sure that there is a wide variety of people who are involved with our organization. And we also believe that working together achieves solutions. There are about 11 staff members at Nicholas House now. And there used to be 7 or so when I first came. But we serve hundreds of people every night. There's no way we can possibly take care of all those folks. So all types of people help us. We have volunteers who serve meals 365 nights a week. And volunteers teach classes for us to our families. Everything that we can do, our community does it for us. And that's so awesome. Housing as the solution. So I did mention that housing is our first priority for somebody who's homeless. Obvious, they need a place to live. So we first try to make sure that they don't get kicked out. That's the prevention program that I mentioned. So families losing their housing are getting help paying past due rent, utilities, to prevent eviction. Emergency shelter, that's our Boulevard shelter on Boulevard in Atlanta. But families from all over the metro Atlanta area are referred to Nicholas House. We are a part of the coordinated entry system. So any family who's most in need that fits Nicholas House's criteria is actually referred to us through that system. So if somebody needs help with their rent or something like that, or their utilities, they can actually call us on the phone and say, I need help, and send us their bills, and we'll be able to pay those. Or if someone needs to stay in our emergency shelter, they go through the coordinated entry system, and that's how they're referred to us. Housing programs. When a family graduates from our emergency shelter, and that usually takes about 2 months now, we used to serve families for up to a year, but we've gotten that time down, which is great for us, to about 2 months. And that way, families are working on the things that led them to homelessness from their own house. It's very difficult to think about other things that are going on in your life when your housing is unstable. And so that's why we try to make sure that they are in their own home quickly. The case management and ongoing support is also what I mentioned to you guys a few minutes ago, making sure families are supported for years after they left our organization. And Kendall is actually a little girl whose family came to Nicholas House.
My daughter, she had gotten sick with an autoimmune disease called Kawasaki. Her body completely shut down. They had to bring her to a place. They had to give her blood transfusion to bring her back. I was working at the doctor's office for 12 years and I got laid off. I truly couldn't understand what was going on with me. I was doing right. I was living right. I was being committed, and I'm like, what do I do? One of the ladies at the church, she was connected with the Nicholas House, and it opened up family and us being together as one. When I went to the Nicholas House, I saw people helping, giving, and totally reached out with food, clothes, just anything. I had never ever saw anything like that ever in my life. People just feeding us and serving us because they felt like we was worthy. Nicholas House means family, structure, hope, trust, togetherness, resources, relationships, foundation. We had cotton supplies, underclothes, bedding, bus passes if we needed them, warrant cards. We had a lot of self-development, teaching us how to do resumes for the ones who didn't know how to. We had the computer room, so you were able to research and do what's necessary to better yourself. I completed the program last month. I transitioned completely out. And I'm being self-sufficient to do what I need to do for me and my family.
Well, people don't have no home, you can just bring them to the Nicholas House to like have a home there till you find a home.
That's what we do at Nicholas House. When families need a home, we make sure that they have one. I think she summarized that very well. What's next, though? What's coming up next for Nicholas House? So the shelter that you just saw on the screen is actually 117 years old. It is. That building has been basically donated to Nicholas House really for $1 a year by the Community Foundation when they never collected that dollar. And they've already given us their blessing to make the renovations necessary for Nicholas House to provide more programming, first of all, but also to possibly put affordable housing on the same property. So right now we rent apartments from across the city, really, and we hold the leases for those apartments. And when families come to us who have a questionable background, maybe evictions are on them or something, and they can't move into a place themselves, they move into those apartments, which are subleased by Nicholas House. Well, if we had our own affordable housing, we wouldn't have to do that. Right now, we have to negotiate with landlords and all types of things, one of which those relationships ended recently, and so that puts Nicholas House in a bit of a situation. In order for us to avoid that altogether, if we owned our own affordable housing, we'd just be in a better situation. Yeah. So that's one of our goals. Of course, we'd like to have more families. It's already a huge house. There's 12 families can stay in it, and they have their own bathroom, but it's still very much communal living, right? So they come into the kitchen together. They don't really have their own space. They almost share everything. So we would like to change that a little bit if we can when we redo the house. So there's a lot of thoughts and things coming around right now, but our feasibility study won't happen for another year. So of course you all will be invited to participate in that. Yeah. Our program. This is the things that we've been sweating by our brow for the past year and a half or so, trying to get together. So we'd like to increase the resources that we have to connect our clients to child care, income support, education, healthcare, and employment. And a lot of our case managers do quite a bit of work with that, but that also means we change the way we offer classes to families. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But we also would like to build a landlord program to move families quickly into a home. We worked with the leadership at Atlanta, really a great group of individuals, and they were tasked with basically building a media kit for Nicholas House for us to have conversations with landlords across Atlanta about renting to Nicholas House families and basically welcoming them into their homes. And the reason that we had to do that was because, again, some of the families that we serve have evictions and things like that in their background. And also because during the pandemic, things changed and people were able to start charging a large amount of money for houses that they wouldn't have normally done. And they also were allowed to do things like request credit scores and background checks and things like that, which excludes almost everybody who lives at Nicola's house. So what the Leadership Atlanta team did was make a movie kit that we could use to help us build relationships with landlords across Atlanta. They just finished this project maybe about a week or two ago, and they made this cool video. I send it to you guys in a follow-up. It's amazing. But the work that they did is going to help Nicola's House, of course, get more families into their own home a lot faster. That's the goal. Okay, the next thing on the list is sustainable career training and employment pathways, and also our From Surviving to Thriving program and a pilot for something that's called Circles of Support. I'm going to go into what Surviving to Thriving is and also what Circles of Support is. It actually helps Nicola's House do a lot of the things that you see above, basically helping families get connected to the right employment opportunities, making sure that they are getting the right educational opportunities. Of course, families, when they come to us, they are linked to social services that they would need, food stamps and healthcare and things like that. So that's taken care of when they initially come to us. But when families come to us, sometimes it's because they weren't making enough money, and they do need assistance with finding out how they can acquire more skills and things like that so that they can secure a better job that pays them more so that they can live and afford to live on their own. Now, Surviving to Thriving. This program was piloted in March of this year. Our team had been leading really classes that were geared towards helping our families increase their financial literacy and things like that. And the feedback that we got from our families was that if we do not have any money, it doesn't matter that we have financial literacy. And so we had to figure out what we could do. Our partners were very willing to work with us on this. And so we developed a program that is longer term, something that they very much appreciated because it allows them to get into the specifics of the overviews that they were getting in financial literacy before. And it allowed them to make actual budgets with bankers and with people who specialize in these things. And something that they could follow, that they could easily follow, and making goals that they could achieve that would really move their families to the next phase. And so corporations like BlackRock and Truist and other, United Community Bank, all were like, yes, we'd love to do it. And so they came over and they've been helping us with this first pilot, which ends this Thursday. So several of our families have joined into the program. If they go through this program for the 8 full weeks, then that of course makes them eligible for Circles of Support, which I'll tell you more about what that is in a minute. But this is an 8-week program. It helps to build support, increase resiliency, and to encourage families to identify and reach their financial goals, basically. Short-term financial goals and long-term financial goals, and the longer-term goals that they set in this program are also things that they will work on in Circles of Support if it's something they choose to do. The types of topics covered, obviously budgets, banking, savings for sure, credit, debt, SMART goals, just setting them for yourself, professionalism, which is another thing that families actually gave us feedback about, learning how to conduct themselves in employment settings so that it'll increase their ability to get better jobs, and supporting the family while working, career pathways, and much more. So we are excited about debriefing. We learned a lot in this 8-week time frame, but we'll know more about what we need to improve in just a few weeks. Happy to share. Oh, and this is really just what happens during each week, what we've been going through so far. This week has been a little bit of a party for making it through the whole ways. But Circles of Support. Before this plays, I do want to tell you that Circles of Support is a program that started don't make me tell a fib. It started up north someplace that I'm not sure at the moment. But it is a program that is designed for the community to get involved in how people are supported on their journey back to self-sufficiency. So instead of just Nicholas House case managers walking along this journey with our families, people in the community have an opportunity to volunteer to be what is known as an ally. Someone that is a resource to the person in the program, which is the circle leader. They're in charge of their own life, and that's why they are called circle leaders. But these groups walk with those families until they are self-sufficient. Oftentimes they have lifelong friendships after that, and that's fantastic. But this is something that Nicholas House is looking forward to doing, because at the end of it, our goal is to be able to gift families with a savings, really, their first real savings that they can use in case they slip back into a situation where they may need it. But we match what they put into it up to $3,000. So.
Up to how much?
$3,000.
Wow.
So when they get out of the program, they'll have a savings account.
It's very nice.
Okay. About circles.
As a Circles organization, we do two things. The first thing that we do is we work with families who want to move to financial stability, and we help them do that. The second thing that we do is we work in our community to reduce barriers that keep people from getting ahead. So our Circles program starts with a class. They come to us, we sit down, we talk with them, make sure we're all on the same page, and then we put the support systems, we put the people, the encouragement, the cheering in place so people can be successful.
There's lots of programs that offer employment, offer resources and everything, but Circles offers community that helps families become self-sufficient.
Relationships are probably the most critical aspect of Circles as it relates to overcoming barriers and poverty.
The problem that Circles solves has to do with social, emotional connection.
So to help our circle leaders, first of all, we host a weekly meeting and we all share a meal together. We invite people's whole family to come. We have childcare, we have youth curriculum that their kids can go to, while adults go and engage with volunteers that want to pour into their life.
Our circle structure includes two main people. One of them is the circle leader, and that's the person who comes to us and says, I need to change something in my life. We call them a circle leader because they're in charge of their circle of friends, their circle within our community, and we bring alongside them volunteers who commit to working with them about 18 months to help them reach their goals. That volunteer we call an ally, and we call them an ally because they're their friend, their support system, their cheerleader.
Once I got involved in Circles, it was phenomenal what happened. I started to learn about budgeting, about saving, about different resources that I can use to help me enhance those things. I feel like I can do this. It's a wonderful feeling.
Circles is that starting point to lead you and to assist you and get you connected with the right people. I have gained friends that I can call on, and they give you those stepping stones, and I plan to go further.
We don't throw band-aids on bullet wounds here. You have to be there. You have to show up for yourself. You have to be committed. But we will walk beside you the entire way.
And that's Circles. So, after our pilot is finished, Surviving to Thriving, Circles of Support is what's up next. Ways that our community can help us do this, champion our cause, invite Nicholas House out to talk to your groups like this one today, so that we can tell other people just like you all about what we're doing. The Circles of Support program cannot happen without an army of volunteers. And so we already have groups of people serving meals, cleaning our yard, providing childcare, all types of things. But in Circles, people have to commit to doing things like teaching classes to their children and walking alongside families and as they literally go from homelessness to self-sufficiency. So it requires a commitment. And we are looking for a lot of good folks to help us out with that. So champion our cause, invite people and other people to be engaged. We also have tours at our organization for people who want to know more about us and hear more about us, so they can come out and see what we're doing firsthand at our Boulevard shelter. And of course, people can invest in what we do. Folks give us contributions one time or recurring. We actually have an event called the Dream Builders event. It's actually going to be an evening event this year in June on a Thursday night. And I think there's an invite, I'll show you here in a little bit. But people give to recurring gifts to us, small recurring gifts, large recurring gifts, but it's an option. And volunteer. Ooh, boy, do we need volunteers. Give your time to support the families in our program. All types of folks volunteer with us, faith partners like St Bart. Corporations partner with us, and everybody does that for the purpose of seeing Nicholas Hospice successful and ensuring families don't experience homelessness. So we always use new volunteers and shelter volunteers who, of course, provide meals, maintenance, adult education, and children's activities. And these are just some of the volunteer opportunities that we have. Typical things, but I suspect you all may know about, because I believe they've been around for the long haul. Meal service, providing support to staff, mixed activity hour, which I believe will eventually go under the umbrella of circles of support. But it's really the activities that we do with kids in the summertime and also throughout the year. Shelter beautification and donation sorting. Speaking of that, holiday time, this kind of goes hand in hand. We have a huge Thanksgiving drive so that the families who have moved on out of our shelter program, they still need a little bit of help. And so we like to try to do things for them, like make sure everybody has a Thanksgiving meal. We make sure every child and adult who has been in our program also receives something for Christmas. It's a huge ask, but any family that says, yes, we'd like to participate, or just shows the need for it, we ask them if they want to participate. We make sure that they receive those things. We also have an adoptive family program. One of our dream builders, a really nice man named George Ward, noticed that a family was moving out and they just happened to not have furniture. And so he was like, oh, I have some, I could donate my furniture to you all. But after he did that, I guess he went home and he came back to me later and he said, I want to start a program called Families Off the Floor. And I said, George, tell me more. So he said, I don't want these families leaving here and having to go sleep on air mattresses or on the floor, things like that. I think we could raise enough money for them to be able to pay the fee at the Atlanta Furniture Bank, or we could tell enough people about it so that we could get donated beds when they move out. It's been super successful. That's all I'm gonna say. People love to do it, and so it makes George really happy. He introduces everybody to the organization to help. So any family who's leaving our organization, we try to make sure that the things that make their life normal, if we could provide that for them, we still help them out with it. Dream Builders, I didn't mention this a moment ago. So Dream Builders is it's a fundraiser, but it's also no charge. We tell the stories really of the families that we've served throughout the year, and people can come learn more about what's coming up. It's Thursday, June 17th at the Carter Center. You can learn about our mission and how to support it. And that's that. So join us, make an impact in whatever way you can. If you feel so moved and like to give me some feedback, I would love to have it on this presentation. You can scan this QR code. And those of you who are watching at home later too, you can do the same thing and send us some feedback. You can also go to our website, which is being updated all the time, to look for ways that you can get involved with Nicholas House. Are there any questions? Yes.
Well, we were discussing this at breakfast. I have kind of a unique position. I started go to St Bart in 79, so I was there from 80, 81, 82. When we first started, it was a round room, but it was a Sunday school room. So, well, we were different people in the Sunday school rooms. And what you do have a shelter and Sunday school at the same time. These families, we develop these lockers on wheels. So every Friday or Saturday, they put all their possessions in the locker, rolled it out, and then Monday rolled it back in again. And I can think of one family. They became homeless because the child had a heart disease. And so anyways, and I've got lots and lots of stories.
Well, I'm here for it. When I came this morning, I said, Susan, I didn't realize that I'd be meeting people who were actually a part of this when it first started. They're going to get me straight if I get my story wrong to everybody. But it has been really neat to hear about people who have started this organization. I'm just happy to be a part of it. I was literally 1 year old when Nicholas House was started. And here I am. I've been working in nonprofits for 20 years, believe it or not. But here I am, still doing it, still loving it. This keeps me going, being able to help children and families be successful just in life. I love it. I'm happy to be here. And to be a part of the story. Yeah.
You should walk down the hall to that space. It's still there. It's
Really?
Yeah. Down the hall, turn left, we'll show it to you.
Yeah.
And then they must have moved to the building out back. I don't know when that happened.
Old orange yards.
I would love to take a picture.
Yeah, well, we can take you to the building, and I remember coming for adult formation, and there would be bedrolls all around the sides and things like that, and we just had our Sunday school class, and then, but where did they go when we were using the space?
I'm not sure. I'm sure that they had programs.
So during the day, our families are usually gone too. They have like work or school.
But on Sundays, when we needed the space, I know some of them did attend church here. They would come to our
That's
services.
really interesting.
That's a good question.
But a lot of shelters, the people kept staying there during the day. Because, of course, during the day, you find programs and stuff. Wonderful programs like the old days.
Yeah, we definitely have some programs during the day. I know other shelters have rules about who can stay during the day. Like children are out of school, obviously somebody has to be there with them during the day. But usually, we have programs that we set up so that kids aren't just hanging out during the day. They're actually getting some enrichment activities during the week. But we're thinking about what else can be done.
I was wondering how you screen, and in particular for the financial aid, because I'm sure that a lot of people
Would like to do it.
Would love to say, hey, can you help with my electric bill when they're spending all their money on drugs? And so how do you screen for something like that?
So we don't screen for something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't have the capacity really to screen for something like that.
Okay.
What we do have to, we make sure that they meet our criteria though, is that they have to be in a family and they have to be able to prove that it's a hunt, right, according to what the rules are, according to the funding that we receive too.
Okay.
So we do not screen families for anything, and this is for all of our services. So unless there's someone who is offended as a violent criminal, so they've committed murder or something like that, or they've committed sexual abuse at some point in time. So those will disqualify you from a program.
And what about health issues, since you have a communal space?
Right, and so we are very particular about that. But we do have a program that is specifically for people who are who have a disability. And so those people usually go directly into their own apartment or their own home. And we have had people who have actually been in that program for 15 years, and it's mainly because they entered it when the child that was in their home was 3 years old. And so they're in it, and when they graduate or when they're ready to leave, we make sure that they are able to have stable housing to the place that they're going next. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions? I think that's it.
I had one comment.
One comment.
Just one comment. I was touched by the young man who was talking about what it had meant to him. And he talked about how he has hope and he believes in himself more because he's got the skills. And I was thinking about the mental health involved here and how when people believe they can do it, they can do so much more. And so just providing that spark of hope is just so important. So.
Right. I think that's another reason why we wanted to include those types of statements in our philosophy of care.
Yeah.
Because it makes such a big difference in people's ability to achieve their goals when they actually believe that they can do it.
Yes. Yeah.
That is the truth. Our executive director, Janet Thompson, I don't know if you guys have met her, but she speaks on that all the time. It's so difficult to move the needle at all when they don't believe that they can do it.
Absolutely.
When someone has been telling them their entire lives that they can't do something and now they're in this situation, it just makes it worse. And it's hard when they just don't believe they can get done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mental health is huge, and we have partners who help us with things like that. Of course, little children are affected differently from adults, but everyone across the board needs some sort of assistance. So we refer people, of course, when that's something that they need. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything I need to?
We need to get the room ready for the other group, and then I'll take you down and show you where the original well was.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Wait. Okay, next Sunday is Mother's Day, and we're not meeting, but the Sunday after that, we're doing Nedra Roberts' one-act play, Voices, and I am playing Joan of Arc. Jim Morey is playing George Bernard Shaw. You are in for a treat. So we're hoping that all of you can come back in 2 weeks. Thank you, Barry. This is our wizard.
Yeah. I'm at Barry.